Hey there, everybody. Here's Khan and me saying hi and telling you about the Adidas Adizero Adios 9. This is our shoe review of the Adios 9 and shoe off, and I hope you enjoy it. This is a shoe that I hope to be doing a lot of training in for the next few months because I will be shifting my focus from the marathon to the 5K and some other shorter races. I will still be doing the Boston Marathon, but I'm also planning on doing the Boston 5K that same weekend. So we will look at this shoe for some of those workouts. I hope you enjoy. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ding the bell for notifications. Adidas Adizero Adios 9 in a men's 9.5. Let's open her up. There it is. Specs and features of the Adios 9. It is very lightweight in hand, as you would expect it to be. They have this one-way stretch upper that is the same as in the Adios Pro 4. There is a sock liner. I would call it semi-removable. It's very thin, but it's glued down. So I'm gonna leave it in there. A very thin tongue, but there is some padding there. And very thin laces as well, and they feel kind of slick, honestly. We'll see how well they stay. However, the tongue is sewn into the upper, sewn into this, what's it called, light lock system here. So I don't think the tongue is going to move around at all, and this light lock system has kept the laces embedded in the upper in a very comfortable way. That's certainly better than previous shoes in the series. There is a modest amount of padding around the heel collar, which should feel pretty good. The Light Strike Pro midsole, all Light Strike Pro. I think there is a shank somewhere in here, but you can't see it. Still not sure whether this is the old formula or the new formula. I've heard different reviewers say different things, so we'll just see how it feels. And they've got this strap-in system that kind of keeps your rear foot locked in. Light traction outsole with the Continental rubber toe-off piece. So, yeah, those are the features. It is a 27 millimeter stack in the heel with a 20 millimeter stack in the forefoot, so that makes for a 7 millimeter drop. Now, let's weigh them. Okay, this is set to grams. 175 grams for the right shoe. 175 grams for the left shoe. And that comes out to 6.2 ounces. Pretty impressive for a men's size 9.5. With regards to the fit, sorry, I got my work pants on here. They fit just like the Adios Pro does for me. That is to say, true to size, with a decently snug fit around the midfoot. I have plenty of room in the toe, about a thumb's width as far as length. And I actually have a little bit of room to, wiggle my toes and splay my toes. So I definitely think, at least for me, true to size is the way to go on this. You can definitely feel the ground, but I can feel that this midsole is still going to have some life to it. It's going to be responsive. I'm going to enjoy doing some faster running in these. So we'll see once I get a chance to get them on the road and compare them to some other shoes. Okay, it's time to do a shoe off with the Adidas Adizero Adios 9 with a bunch of other unplated Go Fast shoes that are in the same class. Naturally, I have the Adios 8 here because I have to do a side-by-side comparison from version to version. This is kind of a wild card here. This is the Atreyu base model with the Believe in the Run custom colorway there. I have the Topo Cyclone 2. I know the Cyclone 3 is just coming out, but I don't have that one. I do have the Cyclone 2. The Saucony Kinvara 14, and the 15 has been out for a while, but honestly, I'm still going strong on these 14s, and I've used them for a lot of shoe-offs. The Brooks Hyperion 2, which I think is going to be one of the main competitors for this shoe in a use case scenario. And then, of course, as people would expect, the Nike StreakFly, which also is kind of, you know, covering those same bases as the Adios 9. So I can't wait to get these on foot and compare them side by side. The Adios 9 and the Adios 8 right next to each other, and the difference is stark. It's very cold out here. I'm sorry if it gets windy. But the Adios 9 is so much more forgiving. The Adios 8 still has some pop, but I really have to get up on the forefoot to engage it, because that's where that Light Strike Pro is. Whereas the Adios 9 is all Light Strike Pro, and it's the newer, more resilient, compliant and resilient formula of it, and it's just more enjoyable to run in. And I feel like even if I'm on the midfoot, not up on the forefoot, I'm getting that fast efficiency from the traditional racing flat style with still some bouncy pop in that newer superfoam. I don't really feel like I need to go running in the Adios 8 anymore now that I have the Adios 9. Adios 9 and the Atreyu base model. So the Atreyu actually feels more built up, which I wasn't expecting. A little more room in the toe box too. Feels like there's more underfoot, more like a daily trainer, even though I personally would use the Atreyu base model for intervals like I would the Adios. However, even though the Atreyu is cheaper, it feels like there's a little bit more protection underfoot. It's straight up EVA with no outsole, so durability is questionable, and even Atreyu acknowledges that in their own literature. Also, the TPEE in the Light Strike Pro and the Adios 9 is not as temperature dependent. It's very cold out here right now. You can't tell, but it's under 20 degrees Fahrenheit, which is like -5, -6 Celsius. And the EVA does feel a little firm the longer it is out here in that temperature. Whereas the midsole of the Adios 9, albeit modest, feels a little bit more compliant still. And I've got the Adios 9 and the Topo Cyclone 2. This is a very fun pairing here, because the Topo Cyclone 2 is among my lightest shoes, among my least forgiving when you take it in the context of everything else in the closet, but put it in this range of plateless, strip down, go fast, you know, workout day shoes. And the Cyclone 2 actually feels a little bit more forgiving, more flexible, more welcoming than the Adios 9. The Adios 9, well, it is a traditional racing flat, and it very much feels like a traditional racing flat. So I think the Adios 9 is something you want to put on if you want to feel like you can only go fast that day, because it prompts you to do that, and it rewards that in a very efficient way. Whereas the Topo Cyclone 2, while it rewards your go fastness, it can also be something that you lull back and relax on those recoveries in a little bit more easily. I'm not saying you can't do that in the Adios 9, but I'm saying the Cyclone 2, even though it's under 7 ounces, feels like a more substantial trainery option than the Adios 9. So I'm wearing the Saucony Kinvara 14, and I have the Adios 9 on my left foot, and never before would I have considered or describing the Kinvara 14 as feeling like a high stack shoe. But next to the Adios 9, that's exactly what it feels like. It doesn't feel like a Kinvara in this shoe off. It feels more like a, I don't know, a Brooks Launch at least, you know? Something that's closer to daily trainer than a workout shoe. And the Kinvara is
a daily trainer. That's what it was touted as 15 years ago when it came out at the pinnacle of the minimalist shoe movement. But it does not feel minimal compared to this traditional racing flat with an updated present day foam. And the power run, the straight EVA power run, does feel a little bit brickish in this cold weather, sort of like the Atreyu base model. However, I think in temps that are not sub-freezing, if I were doing a longer daily run, not a long run, but maybe something 70 to 80 minutes that had a little faster paces, the Kinvara might be more appropriate. Alright, I had to switch to the phone because of GoPro problems, so I'm sorry if the quality is not as good on these two comparisons. Brooks Hyperion 2 and Adios 9. So, the Hyperion 2 is a higher stack, and it has more foam underneath. That's DNA Flash V2, which is a supercritical EVA, not as compliant and resilient as the TPEE and the Light Strike Pro, but there's more of it, so it gives more of a snappier response. I think the Hyperion 2 feels in response somewhere between the Adios 9 and the Topo Cyclone 2. Both of these, I think, so far, what I've compared today, are going to be at the top of the fast reps rotation of shoes that I'll be using training for 5K this spring. All right, I'm going to show these two on the camera so I don't have to do it when I'm running, and I can just talk into the phone. Nike StreakFly versus the Adidas Adios 9. In other words, it's the Sagasu running cage match. So StreakFly and Adios 9. This is the matchup today, and I think that's why I knew to save it for last. Both of these shoes feel great for what they are. In my size, they are in the low 6 ounce range, 6.2 ounces about. I think there might be 5 grams difference between them, with the StreakFly being just a hair heavier. The StreakFly, let me avoid this car, is a much more forgiving shoe with that big ZoomX midsole. I say big, it's not super shoe big, but it feels big compared to the Adios 9 midsole on my left foot. And I think if I were rolling at a tempo effort, maybe around the 15K pace, maybe even closer to 10K, the StreakFly would feel better and for a longer time. But in this little run, I'm breathing heavy because I did just pick it up to a 5:15 pace stretch for a little bit. And at that pace, which is what I do my VO2 max reps in, the Adios 9 just felt clean, smooth, efficient. Whereas StreakFly didn't feel bad, but it felt a little bouncy and a little much, a little puffy for that high-end pace. So I would say if you're looking for one shoe to do all of your speed work that's not plated, the StreakFly might be a better option. But if you want something that's really going to let you focus on that 5K, 3K to 1 mile pace and track that's not plated, it's the Adios 9.
All right, it's time for a shoe talk about the Adidas Adizero Adios 9. And in order to really, I think, understand where this shoe might fit in a running rotation, I think we need to consider the heritage and the history of the Adios line. So, I really was introduced to the Adios line before the Adios Boost came out. I ran in the Adios Original and the Adios 2, and then I ran in the Adios Boost 1 and 2, and I had some of my best marathons and half marathons in the Adios Boost 1 and the Adios Boost 2, and this was in the early 2010s, early to mid 2010s. And then around the time the Adios Boost 4 would have been coming out, that was 2017. And there were a lot of things happening in the marathon shoe world at that time. Adidas came out with this, the Adizero Sub 2. This was seen on Wilson Kipsang's feet as well as many others. And this is Light Strike Boost. I should have worn this in the shoe off, but I didn't think to. Missed opportunity. At the same time, or actually right before this, Nike was coming out with this. Not this particular shoe, but the non-Flyknit version that directly preceded this. And this is the Nike Vaporfly 4%. And this is the Flyknit version, like I just said. Two different takes on where the next super shoe should have gone. And the world ended up going with this one. This ended up being the way to go. The rest of the market swayed more towards this and then towards the more maximal stack height. So shoes like this that focused mainly on reducing the weight fell by the wayside until the Evo Pro recently came out, but that still uses superfoam and a high stack. So what happened to the Adios line? Well, it continued. It continued with the Adios 4, Adios 5, Adios 6, Adios 7, as Adidas introduced Light Strike Pro, which was a TPEE foam. It started to make its way into the Adios line, usually as a puck here and there that would really kind of be nerfed by the surrounding Light Strike, which was just kind of a firm EVA that was unimpressive and joyless. This is the Adios 8, and I was interested in this one because the forefoot, which is where I do most of my landing and most of my propulsion, had really kind of an unnerfed, uncarried setup of the Light Strike Pro. And if I were landing on my heels, which I don't often do, then it felt a little bit jarring. But this felt really good for intervals and short efforts. And that's really where the Adios non-pro line ended up going. Very few people were using these for races. In fact, this still weighs more than most of the super shoes against which it would have been going. So they kind of rebranded it as a 5K, 10K racer, but really the Takumi Sen was kind of filling that role. This became a workout shoe. Now, today, they are still, I think, using it as a workout shoe, still branding it as that 5K, 10K racer, but everyone reads that as workout shoe, intervals. However, it has included some of the newer technology that we find in this shoe, the Adios Pro 4, namely this soft variety of Light Strike Pro, which makes all the difference. Now, it's 27 millimeters. You can't really read that. 27 millimeters as opposed to 39 millimeters in this shoe. So you definitely feel the ground a bit more. However, it is a uniform feeling of cushion and resilience, unlike this shoe, the Adios 8. In fact, it's more like this shoe, the Sub 2 was, although this is a lot more compliant than that Boost Light that was in this shoe. As well as that one-way stretch upper, same upper as in the Adios Pro. If you were looking at these from afar and couldn't tell, and seeing the lateral side and could not tell the stack height from afar, you might mistake them for one another until you see the bottom, okay? So I think this does a great job of taking that Adios non-pro heritage and really streamlining it with the rest of the Adios line, the modern Adios line. How does it compare with these guys? Well, like I said, the Topo, Cyclone 2, more flexible, more room in the forefoot. However, I think if I were Andy Rayner, the FOD runner, I would probably prefer this shoe because he likes his shoes to fit more like a torpedo and you really feel faster, more efficient, more agile. That's what Chris Stepanek from Sagasu Running would say about this shoe, is more agile, more corner turning, more geared towards reps or hill repeats. Alex Felidi from Meta Endurance said he thinks of hill repeats when he thinks of this shoe. I think this shoe, the Brooks Hyperion 2, is a main competitor for this shoe. They're both the same price in the US, $140 USD. And this one has a more accommodating upper. There's a bit more of a midsole there. The midsole is not as exciting, but there's more of it. So you get a good, snappy response. I think the Hyperion 2 might be more accessible for those who wanted to get an interval shoe, but not get quite as much ground feel as the Adios 9. Whereas the Adios 9, if you were used to old school training flats or minimalist shoes back in the days, like I was a street soldier in what Joanna might have called the Barefoot Mafia, then you might like the Adios 9 if you hearken back to those days of minimalism. But if you want to flirt with that world and still get a little more protection, while still get some snappiness at the same time, the Hyperion 2 might be more your speed. However, the StreakFly, I think, is still going to be more popular than the Adios 9 when it comes to the, quote, 5K, 10K racer that's used as a workout shoe more than a racer. It's unplated, just like the Adios 9 is. Both have some stiffening agents in there and just part of it, but really we're thinking of them as straight up superfoam midsoles. Different types of superfoam. This really has that puffy Zoom X foam, and it's going to be interesting to see what the StreakFly 2 does when it comes out this spring. I have a feeling those two are going to be very competitive against one another. As I said in the shoe off, for a longer workout effort or maybe some longer reps, unless I was wearing a super shoe, I would go with the StreakFly. But straight up fast intervals, anything under 400 meters, on the road or on the track, whether it's rubberized or tarmac, I would go with the Adios 9 just because you do feel just clean, streamlined. You feel like your legs are doing the work, but I think you should, and you feel like you want to run fast in this shoe. Take that for what it is. I think this is a great update. If you like the Adios line, the non-pro line, you will like this shoe. Just be ready for a different underfoot feel. It will be more forgiving than the Adios has been, but certainly a lot less forgiving than some of the other lightweight unplated trainers out there. So a little bit bouncier than the last version and a little bit more uniform, but it is not a lot of shoe, and we should be prepared for that. But I do like the looks of it too, and if you say that doesn't count, then you're wrong. All right, thanks for listening to my shoe talk about the Adidas Adizero Adios 9. There will be more content coming soon, including another shoe review about the Brooks Hyperion Elite 4 PB that should be coming out next, because I did get an early version of those. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ding the bell for notifications. Share the video with all of your other running friends. I've got, I think, as of this morning, 893 subscribers. I'd really like to get to 1,000. Also, go on over to Just Jared. Jared Sutherland is also another 40-something reviewing shoes like me, and he's trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. And if he gets to 1,000 subscribers, his wife is going to let them both go to the running event this upcoming year. So go subscribe to Jared, subscribe to my channel, like both of our videos, and we'll bring more content to you.